Welcome to
Hey everybody,
church.
welcome back to the...
Welcome to Church Cast for everything church.
You don't get to do that, okay? It's my thing. I was getting in the zone. I was 3 minutes away from being there.
Okay.
Now we gotta restart. Hey everybody, welcome back to the post show with your host show, Mikey. And as you can see, I've got a jump on No Shave November, or Movember. That's what we're going for this year. And I'm joined, as always, by my spiritual grandmother, Johanna. Zach. Zach this week. Yeah, we got special guest, Zach. If you guys haven't met Zach, tell him who you are.
I'm Zach.
Okay, well, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first. This is Zach. And we just, as always, we wanted to just touch on Levi's sermon from last Sunday and just go a little bit deeper or give our insights or input on what we took away from it and maybe hopefully spur a little bit of conversation and thought on your guys' end to go a little bit deeper and just revisit what we talked about on Sunday. And with that, Levi went a lot of different directions. He, much like the squirrels he called us, he was chasing after some stuff and he was going up a lot of different trees. But there was a couple things that I really liked from Sunday's sermon, and one of those was he talked about, trusting in God's provisions. I know when we were comparing notes a few minutes ago, that was something that you really underlined as well. And I just was curious, what does that look like for you? What does it mean to trust in God's provisions? Or has that paid off or backfired on you ever? Do you have a relationship with trusting in God's provisions at all?
Yeah, I would honestly say what I'm doing right now. I moved to Alaska from Kansas City, Missouri. And I just kind of heard about the opportunity up here and honestly was like, Lord, if this is your will, then I pray all the doors open. If it's not, then I just pray that no doors open. And clearly, the doors have opened for me to be here. And it's not easy moving from the Midwest all the way up to Alaska. Especially
the food's more expensive. I know you mentioned that.
The food's more expensive. It's good. But yeah, so just even that, trusting in moving, and literally leaving a life I had all the way to move up here. Yeah. So how do you begin to trust God? And how do you start to grow that relationship of trust with the Lord? Yeah,
I think it was an interesting, Levi was using the example of going out into the desert and spending time without water. And, a lot of times that's not how it's going to start for us, right? It's not going to be this gigantic leap of faith. For a lot of people, it's going to be, maybe not move, just hey, I accept Jesus into my life. I'm going to move from the Midwest to Alaska. Yeah. Maybe it's I'm going to start small. I'm going to trust God with my finances in small ways and then see how he provides in those areas. Or I'm going to give up things that aren't serving me and trust that God will fill that time or that energy or those needs in different ways with things that are more life-giving. I think, as you mentioned to me earlier, it does start often with starting small, with these small things, and then working our way towards just giving our life fully over to God. Because for a lot of us, the idea of giving our lives over to God, it can be that thing that we do at summer camp, the stand up and give your life over and then
get that high.
Yeah. But then this is something I talked to my middle schoolers about or my high schoolers about when I was doing high school ministry. It's we can do that. We can have that really awesome opportunity on the stage where we get to walk up and lay down our life at the cross. But, what does it look like when we go home from camp? Yeah. So I guess what we're talking about here is we can make those grandiose gestures, but what does it mean to do that day in and day out? Yeah. I think that's when we're really starting to talk about trusting in God's provisions, is when we're willing to do it each and every day. Yeah. Until we run into one of those situations like Levi talked about, where he was talking about, okay, things really hit the fan now. Things are really going tough. And hopefully those small situations lead you up to this point where you have trusted in God's provision, in which case has led you to pack up, as he said, that spiritual bug out bag. Which, by the way, did you know what a bug out bag was before we started talking?
I relatively did, but
Okay.
if you want to drop the definition for our viewers at home,
I
that
think he dove into it, but like a physical bug out bag would be like, hey, things have really hit the fan, as they say. But you know, I have this bag that's ready to go. A lot of times people leave this by their front door. Like, this has my water purification system in it. This has you know, a first aid kit. These things that like I'm going to need to survive. You know, this is my survival kit. And Levi talked about, you know, building our spiritual survival kits, our spiritual bug out bags. And I know this is a really broad, hard question. He didn't dive into specifics here, and that's what I was hoping we could do a little bit here. Is like, okay, let's go out into the you know, universe here and just talk about like what would be in our spiritual bug out bags. You know, for me, I think about like the wisdom that's been shared with me over the years. Obviously, I'd want to distill that down in some way, and you know, some of my spiritual teachers over the years, that maybe not even in-person ones like Levi has been to me, or Willie, but like to have like books by Bob Goff and John Eldridge, to like stuff those into my spiritual bug out bag, just so I can hold on to those. You know, the feeling of hope and wisdom and courage that those give me. Is there anything that you can think about stuffing into a spiritual bug out bag?
Yeah, I would say like one of the things that like while you're saying that just kind of reminded me of, it's one of my favorite books. It's called Is That Really You, God? It's by Lauren Cunningham. So yeah, like that is just like a good like almost reminder, like whenever like I feel lost about like just whatever I'm doing, like I feel like I can always go to that book, open it up, and just like see how the Lord works and see how he moves, see how he never gives up, how he never fails. And yeah, just like that. And then add, honestly, just have the Bible ready, so we're like I can literally just open it up to Psalms, read about like what David's writing. And
I think another thing for me that I would definitely stuff in there if I could, and this is getting a little specific and a little physical again, is there's certain music that puts me in the mood for like, you know, devouring scripture and just like setting my heart for God. And it's surprisingly, it's not anything that we would necessarily hear on Sunday mornings coming from the stage. Oftentimes for me, it's instrumental stuff. Because I really love to just tune into instrumental stuff and just get lost in what God is doing in my heart. So like if I can do Philip Glass, if I could put a couple of his albums into my spiritual bug out bag, that will just do me pretty good. Just that looping instrumental stuff that's just like letting God move in my heart. And that would definitely be my spiritual bug out bag. And we would love to hear what would be in your spiritual bug out bag, whether that's like prayers that have meant a lot to you and have got you through a lot. I mean, we're going to need those in the times where we need our spiritual bug out bag. If that's books that have really just gotten you through a lot. If that's like, you know, you want to jam in the person who has just lifted you up, you can fit them into that spiritual bug out bag. But whatever you would really need from Christ in those moments of need, we want to hear about them. So comment down below and let us know what would be in your spiritual bug out bag. And with that, do you want to pitch Halloween stuff right now?
So on Halloween, we're having our trunk or treat. And if you would like to sign up, comment down below and I will follow up with you. It's from 3 to 5 p.m. here on the Awaken property.
And if you don't comment down below, we'll know and we'll also follow up with you. But with that, we will see you guys next week, if not sooner. Bye.